Welcome to the Circle of Trust podcast with your host, law firm CMO Keith Dyer. Brought to you by LexGrow, the leader in law firm marketing strategy, training, and implementation. If you're ready to grow your law firm with predictable case flow and revenue, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Circle of Trust podcast. Of course, I'm Keith Dyer, and I'm joined today by a gentleman that I actually have a friendship with. We've known each other for a couple years, have been to a few conferences together. Mr. Paul Yokabitus, we're also here in the same state. Paul has Cary Estate Planning. He is a very successful estate planning law firm with multiple locations in the Triad area, Raleigh, Chapel Hill, and Cary, of course, and with plans to eventually expand throughout the state. But Paul, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hey, Keith. Thanks for having me, man.
We were just chit-chatting before we got on here about some things going on in the state. But, Paul is also a friend of mine through an attorney I work with here in the Wilmington area. And they're both very growth-minded, and that's what I think of when I think of you, Paul. But before we get into that, if you would, help us understand the history of sort of how you got into this and why you like it and what it is what's your why?
Yeah, so I graduated law school back in 2013 from Campbell Law School in Raleigh. I'm actually from Michigan originally and moved down here after undergrad because my mom and stepdad had moved here, and it just wasn't really a good time to be staying in Michigan to really like plant roots and establish sort of like a lifelong career. And so I was always told in undergrad by advisors that I should go to law school where I want to practice. And so coming to North Carolina for law school was really like I'm moving here for life kind of thing. And obviously the way the lawyers work is licensing is not super fluid. And so, taking the bar means you're going to be licensed in that one state. And, when I graduated, I had my first law job was with more of like a general practice firm that did a little bit of everything. And so I did some insurance defense, I did some real estate, I did some corporate and estate planning. And along the way, just kind of realized that trial work really isn't for me. It, prohibited me from having meaningful time on the weekends with family and those sort of things. And so I was able to pivot into first more transactional stuff like real estate and business and estate planning generally. Then I got into really just business and estate planning. I ultimately formed my own firm coming on 7 years ago, is October of 18. After working for a couple other firms, and now just really focused on estate planning. Formed Cary Estate Planning just by myself. My wife was a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids and just really needed it to work right away. And I grew it from just me to now we have 42 team members across currently 4 different offices in the Triangle of North Carolina. So we've got 2 Raleigh offices, headquarters in Cary, and then we have a satellite in Chapel Hill as well. And over the last few years, we've added a separate law firm. We've added a separate financial planning firm, an RIA, and we also do some trustee services for our clients as well. So become a little bit more comprehensive, a little bit more like a modern family office, and we'll continue to expand services in that way. We're hoping to bring on tax preparation and planning in the very near future, and potentially add in like insurance services to make it a little bit more like a family office.
Yeah, that's great. So I again had a little technical blip there in the middle of that. I heard all of it, except the one thing I wanted to know is what made you choose estate planning?
Yeah, it really, the subject matter really worked well for my kind of natural strengths. Like I'm more like an educator at heart. Don't have an education background, but always found passion in really teaching people how things work. I do that now with kind of coaching estate planning law firm owners. I do it through like seminars and webinars and that kind of thing about, really how things work from an estate planning perspective and those sort of things. And, estate planning it's advocacy driven, right? It's really, we're trying to do what's right for our clients, but it's not advocacy driven in that it's like litigating against somebody else, right? So it's more happy law. It's empowering. It's helping people get to a point of peace of mind. And it's also something that isn't a billable hour type practice. And so it means that, our firm can grow without me billing more time. And so those factors all together really made a lot of sense for estate planning. And now we've worked with over 4,000 clients over the last almost 7 years to create and secure their legacy and just have some clarity, just have a little bit more confidence that if something happens to them, their family will be okay.
Yeah, I got you. So I know you as an astute marketer. I'm falling in and out of the studio for some reason, but I know
Okay.
it's driving me crazy. I'm going to try to get through it. I know that you are an astute marketer from our conversations and just being around you at these conferences. Tell me what was the epiphany when you realized you needed to market your firm to really grow it?
Yeah, I think marketing has really evolved for us over the firm growth, I guess, timeline. Really early on, the bedrock of our marketing was a really solid website with really solid SEO that I had kind of been growing at prior firms. And so really kind of started on second base when it came to SEO when I launched my firm. I actually named it Cary Estate Planning for SEO keyword based reasons, but also to be just very obvious in what we do and where we are. The other aspect, in addition to a solid website, was referral relationships. So just people who were other center of influence members, like financial advisors, divorce lawyers, personal injury lawyers, CPAs, bankers, realtors, who were also working with the types of clients that we tended to work with. So it's usually going to be married couples, pre-retirees, or retirees that are just in transition. They maybe moved here from another state. Their kids are grown and having kids of their own. Just different inflection points in life. And so that was all very solid, but inconsistent marketing, right? SEO is not something you can kind of put your thumb on and increase lead flow. Same with referrals. They kind of happen when they happen. Obviously, we can increase the likelihood of somebody making a referral or not based on the recency of when we spoke with them or meet with them, whatever. We kind of evolved to add what I would refer to as cold channels from there. So things like Google local service ads, and probably the bedrock of our current marketing is Meta. So we do a lot of webinar and seminar campaigns that are driven through paid ads on Facebook and Instagram to basically get these educational opportunities in front of people and allow them to engage meaningfully and in an approachable way with a new concept, with a new topic. And so that's kind of how we've continued to scale. Cold channels let us, have a little bit more intentionality of lead flow based on spend and basically the number of campaigns we're running. And then we recently just brought on a in-house director of marketing named Tom, who is going to start taking over some of these campaigns or improving them or broadening, the different campaigns to give us more diversity, not just webinars and seminars, but, just lead gen campaigns, call now, video ads, that kind of thing.
Cool. Give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh this page because I'm consistently being kicked out and then I'm having to come back in.
All good. Yeah,
I apologize.
All good, man.
Okay, hopefully that works. I am familiar with your product because we've talked about it a few times and actually expanded this to help other estate planning firms as well, which is really cool. It's really nice, isn't it, whenever you find the thing that you can scale. If you put more money into it, you're going to get, if I know I paid $5, I'm going to get 25 out of it.
Yeah, and I think the big thing there is just efficiency in scaling that, right? I think a lot of people just assume you turn up the ad spend and you're going to get the exact same click-through rate and cost per lead and return on ad spend and all this kind of stuff. And it's actually a lot more like company growth, like law firm growth. Is what got you from 0 to 500 grand is not going to get you to 3 million and higher and that kind of thing. So you kind of have to not reinvent the ad campaigns, but kind of get a little bit better at the different rotation of copy and creative and diversity of ads. When you're trying to get 4 or 5 clients a month, one solid campaign will get you there, right? When you're trying to work with 100, right, you can't just use one campaign and throw a bunch more spend at it. So those were kind of the things. It's interesting. We launched Discovery Legal Marketing about 4 years ago now, and have been doing meta-driven presentation marketing campaigns for about 50 other law firms across the United States. And you see that reality reflected across all of them is, where they're at in their growth journey really dictates the type of campaigns that we run for them. Because A brand new, small firm or solo practice that's just trying to get some consistent lead flow has lower spend, is doing fewer events, needs fewer ads. But, the firm that's got 4 office locations and is running 12 events a month to just continue to scale that lead flow, you have to get a lot more creative with when you're running events, how many events, how much spend per event, how long in duration a campaign you're running. A lot of different variables it's just not carbon copy all the way up. I think that's very common to pretty much anything that grows, right? It's just like kids need more food. They need different clothes as they're getting older. Like everything kind of evolves a little bit as it grows.
Yeah, you can't just keep buying them bigger baby shoes.
That's right. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and I think that's like a really big disconnect, especially with lawyers that are not really marketing savvy, is they just expect this like miracle to happen. You probably see that a ton on your end too, is just like, one, that they don't really have to invest their own effort or patience in proving out and really leveraging a channel effectively, but that this is just simply a cash machine that, if I want more money, then I just dump more money in it and it will return me more money to a point. But everything kind of, hits these little ceilings where you kind of pivot, refine, manipulate, and try again. And nothing is, forever scalable. Just a matter of where we're trying to get. And a lot of people, they get so baked into one channel, then the market shifts a little bit, and then that channel starts to underperform, and they're like, oh, what am I going to do? You need more diversity of channels, right? Don't get so eggs in one basket with one channel that you're so dependent on it. If it goes away, your entire firm is screwed. So now these days, of course, obviously we still have referral relationships. We still do solid SEO and website, local search, but we also do things like LSA, AdWords, more Facebook campaigns, that kind of stuff. But we're also getting into things like direct mail. We do a ton of branding, that kind of stuff. But with Tom, the director of marketing who just came on, we're going to be looking at kind of reevaluating spend and where it goes and getting a little bit more technically savvy with digital campaigns.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think what I was referring to is not so much once you get into the channel, you definitely have to continue to optimize it, like you're saying, and change it as the circumstances change. But at least you sort of know this is one main thing that I do that works, right? There's a lot of firms out there that don't even have that kind of clarity on, and they don't have the patience often to let it play out, because, and I deal with this even in my own business, but the patience also means the loss tolerance, if you will, the risk and loss tolerance.
Well, and a lot of it too, like I read this book, it's Jim Collins' Great by Choice. And in it, he talks about the concept of fire bullets, then cannonballs. And the concept is illustrated by, like, if you imagine 2 Navy vessels that are going to war in the ocean, right? And each has a very finite amount of gunpowder. And firing cannonballs, are basically saying cannonballs take more effort, they require more resources. And so they want to be used only when you're certain that, or you're sure that something's going to actually hit. So if a ship is just sighting in with cannonballs, they may use their entire resource before they even make a hit to begin with. Versus if they fire bullets smaller, right, to basically line in or sight in, distance in the actual adversary, they will use fewer resources. They will make a much smaller commitment to get to a point of certainty before they launch the cannonballs. So some people do that with, like, new office locations, satellites, right? They don't test the market. They don't put, they don't fire a bullet. They drop a cannonball and they use a ton of resources. They expose themselves like a 5-year lease and don't really know anything about the market yet. They're just assuming based on its demographics that it's going to work. The same is true for marketing campaigns. It's that they're not testing things in a very meaningful but limited way to make sure that they're not blowing all these resources. So often we'll work with people who have this expectation that month 1, they're going to fire a cannonball and it's going to land and it's going to sink the ship. But really the first couple of months, we're trying to just sight it in. We're trying to figure out what their audience wants and what the audience, their specific metro area expects in terms of, like, date and time combinations. And so it's a lot of testing, and the entrepreneurially mature lawyer understands that testing is a prerequisite and that you have to kind of throw cash at something in the form of an investment to get the testing out of the way to have a really successful channel. The entrepreneurial immature from a marketing perspective, they think everything's just going to work right away. And their patience is in line with that. So they think it didn't work in the first month to the point where I got a 5 or a 10x return on ad spend. So it doesn't work for me, or this vendor is garbage because they didn't produce the type of results that I wanted in the first month. Nothing works that way. No diet works that way. No fitness program works that way. No new anything works that way. But for some reason, some people just have these immediacy expectations and they start firing cannonballs. And then before you know it, they're out of ad spend. They don't have more marketing to do because they just blew everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually going through that right now myself and doing some webinars. And I've been in Chat GPT asking some questions about expectations. And it's like, so don't do 2 webinars right away. Do 1, find out the data from that one, hone it in, do another one. And then when you start getting traction, then you do a second, right? Same concept you're talking about. And that's a big difference because for me, that means twice as much ad spend if I do 2 webinars.
Well, and I think like it's sort of embracing the concept of reps, but you have to go through a complete cycle before the next rep even makes sense. So you think about it from like you use like a baseball analogy. If you were a pitcher and you were trying to, throw strikes, if you just threw as fast as you could in each pitch, only a few seconds apart, you're way less likely to throw strikes on any successive pitch than if you step, calm yourself, get back into the stretch, take some patience, take some time, and then throw again. I think webinars are the same. It doesn't make a ton of sense to schedule like your first campaign and do like 3 webinars in the first week because it takes 1 to 2 weeks to run a campaign. So you're not going to learn a ton that can be actioned in the next campaign if you have them all on top of each other. But I also really like rep as quick as possible. So don't do 1 webinar a month and then be like, oh, I'll do the next one next month. Do maybe 2 in a month, but glean the data and optimize each way so that you're kind of speeding up the reps, but you're giving it the rest and the time that it takes to have a meaningful rep. So instead of throwing a pitch and then waiting 10 minutes until you throw the next one, throw a pitch, reset maybe 30 seconds or a minute, then throw another one. So give it the full cycle time. But I think that's really where people's patience runs thin too, is they see it in terms of months instead of repetitions. It's what are we getting in terms of incremental improvement each rep? And so if we only do it once a month, well, we're waiting until the next month to show any sort of incremental improvement. Right. When you're trying to feed leads on a monthly basis, that takes a long time. And some people don't have that patience or attention span. But if we can do it 2 a month, if you can do it 2 a month, you speed it up. You cut the learning curve in half.
Sure, I see that. Yeah, I see that too.
But you're still giving it the pause that it needs, right? You're not trying to like jam it in as fast as possible. It still has like a life cycle that's still valid and living there. The big thing about like webinars, especially when you're starting them right away, is you're testing content for sure, but you're also testing cadence and like time and day combinations. In the estate planning realm, there hasn't really been a ton of success with like on demand, click whenever you want type webinars. They don't convert very well because people don't expect that reality around something that they're going to actually trigger a call to action with, right? Where they're actually engaging in it with an intention to take the next step that they do with a live event, like a date and time certain. Not to say that everything has to be done live on camera with lights and camera and all that kind of stuff. We now, with our webinars, we deploy recordings at a live date and time certain event. So it still appears to be live. It's just not somebody on camera actually doing the presentation each single time. So it's still like Monday night at 6:30, and it's a new one each week. People are showing up live to attend, and the people who are attending live have the opportunity to book a call with us. But it's not me or an attorney on our team actually live on camera and microphone each time. But the difference in terms of click-through rate and conversion for a date and time certain event versus on demand is substantial. It's massive, even if you're not literally doing it every aspect live every single time.
Right. So this all sounds like things that you've done and you've made mistakes and refined it. Would that be maybe your biggest frustration with marketing, is that it's a process like this and not an event?
Yeah, I think that is marketing to a T is, I think, and just kind of going back to the terms I used previously, is like there are people who are mature marketers, and when they are trying to get into a new channel, they approach it with patience and diligence. There are people who are immature marketers who expect it to be a done for you immediate return. And those are the ones that don't have the patience or the likelihood of success in any new channel. They're also the ones who are hounding down the marketer's back, the actual marketing contractor or outsourced agency, for anything and everything. They're also the ones that don't actually know what they're looking for, right? They're the ones that hound on vanity metrics more than anything else. Right. And so all that said, I created Discovery Legal Marketing because we figured out through war, through battle and scars and all that kind of stuff, what really works for estate planners, and saw a real big gap in the market for what was being offered from a service provider perspective. And it was a lot of like SEO companies who are trying to do paid as well, trying to be kind of the comprehensive digital marketers and not specialists at anything, just kind of generalists at all things. But there was really nobody in the space that was doing exclusively meta ads, exclusively presentation marketing, exclusively for estate planners. And so my partner, Chris, and I kind of filled that gap. And now it's been a little over 4 years, and it's a 7-figure agency. So but it's because I do these, right? It's not some theoretical thing. I run probably 14 campaigns a month for my own law firm, and probably 18 if you add the second law firm, Planwell Legal. And so in all of that, we're able to really beta test everything we're doing so that we can test it with my firm and then deploy it with the other 50 firms. So it's not some theoretical thing that's only the perspective an agency would have from the data and the metrics. We also, I coach people on how to do a better presentation. I review webinar replays and tell people how to troubleshoot and improve the presentation, the call to action, the cadence. We give people a ton of support on the outset. They look at my webinar replay. They get a perfect webinar formula template. They get tips and tricks and pro tips for how to give a good webinar. All these different things to kind of set them up for success from the outset so that the learning curve will be as short as possible. But there's still work to be done, right? It takes what it takes. It's not something that we can just fire on all cylinders on the very first campaign and it's going to be perfect in that instance. It can be as good as it possibly could be, but we still have to test it. And even then, we can't just rest on our laurels and be like, oh, I got some clients from this one, it must be good. We have to try to get it better. There's always opportunities for efficiencies and improvements, but we'll never know how good it could be without more testing.
Sure. That's fascinating. It's been a great conversation. I probably would continue to talk a little longer, but I don't know if you're noticing, I'm falling in and out of the studio.
All good, man. Yeah, all good.
I don't know what's going on. I think it might be the Wi-Fi. I've never had this issue before. On the final note, tell us about some of the coaches and people that you've worked with that you have helped you. Like, who are some people that you really respect in the industry?
Yeah, right now I do a lot with Alex Hormozi's company, acquisition.com. So I was just out in Vegas last month. I'll be back in October, but I've done a ton with his company. He's more present on Instagram, but he's more private equity. Yeah. So he's got a 2-day workshop that I did back in September of last year. I did the boardroom with him, which is like a full day fireside chat, 10 people exclusive all day with Alex. We've been doing what's called their level 2 for the last year now, which is we go out and meet with their actual portfolio subject matter experts to optimize different aspects of our business. And it's all from the private equity perspective. So it's all from enterprise value, which enterprise value is a good thing to aspire to, even if you don't want to sell your firm, because it means that you just have a firm that is easier to run and is more enjoyable and less reliant on you. And so that's kind of our aspiration.
Run it as if it was an enterprise.
Yeah, man. It's sort of it's trying to take out key man risk. It's trying to have things very systematized and process oriented. And those things are all good, even if you have no aspiration of a future sale. And obviously selling a law firm is a little bit harder than the average business, but I'm 38. I've got no objectives to duck out anytime soon, but it would just make it so that this business is just easier to run and would be more consistent on a day-to-day basis, whether I'm consistently in it day in and day out or not. And so those are things that we're endeavoring to solve for. And currently also working with 8-figure firm, Luis and Val over there. That's how we initially met. And obviously through Clark in Wilmington as well. And yeah, it's just, we invest a lot in coaching because we know that there are people who are smarter than us. And, I kind of segued that into, all the lessons that I've learned. I talked about Discovery Legal Marketing. I also have Elite Planner, which is sort of a group coaching platform for estate planning law firm owners. Elite Planner has a private Facebook group, and then we have paid memberships for like ongoing weekly coaching. There's access to different templates and resources that I've used to scale Cary estate planning, those sort of things. So eliteplanner.com is the source for that. But yeah, I think coaching is incredibly valuable, and the opportunity without coaching is to basically just run yourself into a wall and learn all the lessons yourself, however long it takes. And so coaching, speeds that up and gets some smarter people in the room. That's always been very valuable for us.
For sure. Well, I appreciate your time here today, Paul. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith.
Thanks for listening to the Circle of Trust powered by LexGrow. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow us and leave a review. Want to grow your law firm faster? Book a free strategy call at lexgrow.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep innovating. Let's grow with LexGrow.